my mom sent me a article in the newspaper from down in Virginia Beach that said they were going to hire a band director at the University of Virginia. So that's how that kind of all came up. And I was in Michigan at the time, and she said, "You should apply for the job." I said, "Well, I'm very happy here. I really like it." She's like, "Well, we'll get you closer to home. We'll be a lot warmer. It's a great school." So I started thinking about it and talking to my wife about it. And I had applied at a couple other jobs around the country that were warmer and closer to home. And so I thought, well, okay, we'll just see how this goes. And so that's how that all worked out. So I talked to a few friends that I still had here, and they said, yeah, it's going to be a lot of guys who apply, we'll see how it goes. They're really serious about doing this. And I thought, well, they hadn't been very serious about it at the time, and it was kind of thought it was a joke here. But I had had a few students when I taught high school that came here, but they were like my really top players that were really very good musically and great academically, but they didn't want to be music majors. And I was at a school that had music majors, and I was frustrated sometimes with a few of them, not all of them, obviously, but a few of the music majors weren't as into it, and they were just kind of going through the motions. And I felt like the non-majors were so into the band because it was more a part of their life, and I thought, wow, that's exciting. Wow, if that's what it could be like there, but with really, really top-notch academics, I thought, wow, this would be really fun. So, I applied for the job, and the band director of Virginia Tech applied for the job, which not many people know about. And he didn't tell me he applied for the job. Him and I are great friends, Dave McKee, and he said to me, "Oh, you'll definitely get in. You'll to the finals, blah blah blah." I'm like, "Well, we'll see." So I came for the finals, and I think I had a cell phone at the time. I don't remember. And he called me the day of the interview and said, "Where are you at?" I said, I didn't want to tell him, I was in the finals, because I didn't want anybody to know, and I didn't want the people in Michigan to know. And I also didn't want to, say, well, I'm here, and be cocky about it if he didn't get an interview, or he did, or So I just remember him saying, "I just left UVA. I heard you were there interviewing." So it was kind of funny. We talked on the phone about it, and I don't think they interviewed 10 or 12 guys at the time, which is a lot, because typically it's only 3 or 4. And I had a really good feeling after the interview. I felt really great about it. I thought, wow, this was awesome. I remember I was driving still at the time, so I drove to the interview, and Linda drove the kids up too, so they could look around to see if we really wanted to come here or not. And so I think all 6 of us stayed in the one hotel room, because I didn't want to ask them for another room. So it was at the Red Roof Inn, which wasn't the most glorious hotel, but it was okay, I guess. And but man, everybody was really nice. The faculty were super people. And I thought, wow, this could be a really great place. I didn't quite understand I thought it'd be a lot easier than what it really ended up being. I thought it would just kind of show up and there would be a good band, or at least the start of a band. And so that part of it was interesting, but scary at the same time. And I remember getting the phone call from the department chair saying, because band camp was starting at Michigan in a couple days. It was in August, which was a strange time. And I remember my department chair at Western Michigan saying, "We're not going to let you out of your contract." I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel really good, and maybe I'm going to get this job. I can't believe it's closer to home. This could be so great. And he said, yeah, they called me about it, and I told him, "You're not going to be allowed out of your contract. It's too late." I thought, I was really mad at the time, And I told him I was mad, but he was a great guy and always treated me fairly. He said, Bill, if they really want you, they'll just wait. I'm like, well, I don't think so, because they're starting a band and you need to be there. So what ended up happening was she called me and told me that. I said, yeah. She said, are you going to still come? Would you break your contract? I said, well, probably, but I don't want to, because I really, we're just starting band here and I don't really want to leave these guys. And so maybe we can work out something where you can come at the last day of the last football game, whenever that shall be, you could come after that. And then on the off weekends, come down here and start trying to recruit. I said, okay. And so I remember getting the fax or an email, I don't remember what it was, officially saying that you got the job. And it was so, Linda was crying. We were all running around the house, like, just so happy. And I don't even think, Casey and Neil, and obviously the twins were, like 4, 3, I don't know. And they were running around the house. We were all just so excited. And, we were like, this is so, it's so great. It's going to change our lives. And it did. But we were just so happy. They were going to actually pay for my moving expenses. And I was like, wow, this is like royalty. I didn't think anybody did that stuff. I didn't even care about that. In Western Michigan, I think they might have paid me like $200 or $300 or something, to get a rider truck or something to carry my stuff. But they were actually going to pay for a tractor trailer to come to my house to take all my stuff to Charlottesville. I mean, it was like a dream come true. I would think probably the student leadership aspect or something that's really what I tried to push. And I know that that's big here at UVA. I didn't realize it was that big at the time, because I didn't know much about the university as far as that aspect of it goes. So I think that was probably something that really intrigued them. I know that probably having a plan, I remember writing out a 5-year plan and a 10-year plan. I actually have them there behind me. And I think they were excited about that aspect of that as well. It was probably I know that they knew I was very passionate about making it happen, and I think they probably were excited about that. But some of it's luck too. I mean, think of the other guys. I don't know how much Virginia ties they had, and I didn't have that many really, because I had been gone so long, and really I only taught in one area down there, so I guess I had a few, but I don't know. I think some of it's just I just had a really good interview during that time. I had a pretty good band in Western Michigan. I thought was a really good band, and I really miss those guys. They were fantastic. When I got the job, I was still in Michigan. I started band camp, and that was very painful to have to tell them that I wasn't going to be there anymore, because I really loved it there, and that was so difficult to deal with that. I never kind of worked at a job where I knew I was not going to be there, and I was very upfront with them, and I told them that. And we played Virginia in football that year, believe it or not, at Western Michigan, and Virginia just stomped us. And after the game, I was down on the sideline. The band was getting ready to come on for a post-game thing that we did with the football team and the coach, which was really great, and something we had started there. And one of the sideline reporters for Virginia came over and said, "Are you the new band director at UVA?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Can I get an interview with you?" And I was very like, "Oh no, I don't know if I want to do that, because here's my band all with me, and the winning team." Obviously inside I'm like, "Damn, Virginia's got a great team. They just made us look awful." I'm like, and we were decent. I'm like, man, this is going to be great. I'm like, wow, I'm going to a really good team now. And Coach Groh invited me to the locker room after the game. It was a little awkward, but they put me on the air live, and what are you going to do, and how are you going to do this band? And I was on the spot, so on the sideline I was probably stuttering through. I don't even know what I said. I can't remember anything about it. I do remember going to the locker room with Coach Groh, him half naked, saying, "Welcome to UVA." That was weird, but And Virginia fans that were there knew I had the job, and they were giving me orange and blue beads. You know, the first time I'd ever seen those beads that they put you right there. So they were like, here, and I'm like, but no, I got my gold and black on. I can't wear that right now. They're like, oh, you know, come on over to the tailgate. We're gonna celebrate afterwards. I'm like, oh boy, this is so. I got an email though from Woody saying that he was gonna be wanted to be part of the band. That's the only reason why I chose UVA. And I got an email from Dave Knight, and both those guys, I don't think they knew each other at the time. And so I said, okay, well, let's get together. So I came in on a weekend here to watch a football game when I had an off weekend there. They gave me a golf cart, and they said, drive around and look at what the fans do and see if you can get excitement going. You know, we want you to see the whole atmosphere. So they gave me a pass. I drove around, and I remember meeting with those guys when I was here for a weekend, saying, look, let's try to get some information sessions going, and let's see what we can do to you know, get the interest going. So I think at that time the Cav Daily was a big thing. You know, I don't think it was online as much as it was handed out, and it probably still is a big thing. But I remember them going out once or twice a week, or maybe daily, but not on the weekends. So we put ads in there, big half-page ads, full-page ads, and talking about interest and info. And I remember they gave me a lacrosse, racquetball courtroom to store instruments. We didn't have any instruments, but they gave me a racquetball courtroom, and I asked for volunteers, and TJ and Chase showed up. So that's where I met the four of them. TJ stayed at my house a couple of nights, I think, because he didn't have anywhere to stay, which was weird. You know, never met this guy before, and obviously he's funny and outgoing. So I remember us painting that room blue because it had some inappropriate things painted on the walls, and it was terrible. Had to get the rats out. It was awful. But so that's how it started. And then we had an information meeting at Cabell, and for current students, that might have been in November. And we said, look, we're going to put a basketball band together before we start this. And we're going to practice as soon as we get back from Christmas break so we can debut at the Clemson game after Christmas break. So that gave me a couple weeks to get at least some instruments, you know, in hand, because we didn't have very many. We had to get some ordered, and just enough to get us through the game. And we had to get music stands and music and things like that passed out. So our first rehearsal was actually a basketball band rehearsal at U-Hall. I don't remember the day. Woody probably remembers the day, or Dave remembers the day. And I remember playing, like, our first thing was, I think, Land of a Thousand Dances or something. And boy, we rehearsed the hell out of that. You know, we probably rehearsed that for like a half an hour, and you know, now you just sight read it down. But we talked about the Cavs song, and at the time, you know, the Cavs song was longer, so it was too long. But we just, everything, there was no Virginia swing, there was nothing. So that's how it kind of started. So we started having information sessions, people come out for basketball band, and once we got the basketball band thing going, I don't remember how many people showed up for that. Maybe started off like maybe 20, and then maybe built to 30 or 40. And then in the springtime, we started doing recruiting sessions on grounds. We had a PowerPoint, you know, Dave put together a PowerPoint. Dave was always really good at PowerPoints and what the band's going to be like, and you know, we just talked about all kinds of things. So we were just kind of spitballing a little bit as far as things go. We had a plan, but that was kind of the strangest thing to me, because the students were so, you know, a handful of them were so gung-ho about it. Clarinet player, was it Stephen? Was it Spiller? He was really, you know, strong with that. I mean, there's Tanya and Trisha and all. I mean, I'm scared of Rachel being. There's so many of them in there that were just kind of say, well, we're going to do this, we'll do that, we'll do, and they were just kind of like an ant colony. I mean, they were just going to town, and they started chalking. I never knew what chalking was, and putting up signs. And so that, you know, every meeting we had a few more, and by the end I think we had, I don't know, 70 or 80 kids come. And, at the time, I think, too, that there was these meetings, where someone would raise their hand and, say, well, what about the pep band or this or that? And I just always just tried to be positive. I mean, inside it really was scary and hurt and wasn't very fun. Obviously, when you're hyped about something and the students around you are hyped, the majority are, and when someone comes just to make it difficult for you or just to make it awkward or put you on the spot in a public setting, it's not fun. It's not cool. But I will say that my insides wanted to blast them and say, why are you doing this? Why are you, but I didn't. And never did Dave or Woody ever give in to that, Frustrated, yes. And we would all talk amongst each other like, gosh, I can't believe they do that. We would never go and say something to them like this or that. What? And it was awkward at first. But the more and more we kept doing it, we just kind of let it go, when someone would write an article, because there was articles in the Cav Daily about it, getting together, or somebody would say, well, I can't believe they're going to let a real band do this. And so at the same time, we're designing uniforms. There was a committee of a student or two, I forgot, I think Woody was on that, and then faculty members, and then someone from the athletic department to come up with a uniform. That was all in the spring. So that was all happening at the same time as basketball was happening, at the same time as recruiting was happening. And, Dwight Purvis was here still, and Dwight was a great friend, who's somebody who helped me a ton, who I still stay in contact with today, who's just a great guy. But I stayed at his house until my family moved here, because I got here a couple weeks earlier. I think we moved on Thanksgiving Day. It was something like that. There was a lot of things happening all at the same time. They gave me an office at U-Haul, not the glass offices that I actually had I was in with facilities. So I had this, this office. I knew I wasn't going to stay there very long, but it was actually very nice. It was really clean. And I was like, wow, I had my own phone and everything. So it was a big deal to me. And it was like right at U-Haul. So I was a Virginia fan, like Ralph Sampson. So I would, every once in a while, just kind of walk out and sit at U-Haul and think, this is really cool. And then I thought to myself, you don't have a band, you fool. You don't even, you can't, you left a great band. And hell, there are a few people standing up at talks you're giving saying, don't do this, or there's no way this is going to happen here, and why did you even think about doing this? Those are the times when you question yourself, or question, because that's not what you got into music or band for, was competition against somebody at your own school. And it was tough, and I tried to understand their perspective too. It would be tough if you were out there performing a lot, and then all of a sudden someone said no. So I guess you kind of look at that, but I wasn't there to destroy that. I'm just there to make the band good. That's all I really cared about. And I met some of those people along the way, and some of them are really great people. Most of them are really great, but they just wanted to change here. That's all I was hired to do. I wasn't hired here to do anything else. It was just to create a marching band and a band program. So that whole year was a lot of blur. There's things that probably can't say that that happened that were not cool, from preventing us to be successful. Some of our signs were taken down. Nasty emails, phone calls. Just being called things. It's just kind of weird, but. Luckily I had Dave and Woody to talk to, or TJ, who's like the most positive person you're ever going to meet, smiling all the time. So whenever I was down about it, or something, and that's the thing, Dave's a fighter. I mean, he's not down about anything. He's always going to survive, and Woody's so laid back, So it was fun. I mean. It was fun, even though it was hell, and many parts of that. But it all worked out to get to band camp, and then that first game on September 11th. And you'll never forget that one time. So it was great. But yeah, if I ever sat down and wrote it all out, what all ever happened, I mean, it would be. I don't know if it really matters now, but boy, all those people early on, the ones that helped form Kappa Psi, the ones, or not form it, but get it back together again and reinstate it as a chapter from years and years and years ago, and the ones that came out to the early practices that helped us out. I mean, hopefully when they see the band today, they say, wow, I helped, really get that thing started when it wasn't, what it is, today, but in our minds, it was, and it was really great. I think we wore the rugbies, the blue and the orange rugbies. We were sweating to death, but that's when there was no canned music, like there is now, which I'm not a fan of, but whatever. And so, we played all the time, 30 minutes down to 0, band. And when you don't have a band, when it's just starting for the first time, that was tough. I mean, because I remember the first game, we sat, it was in January. Woody probably has a picture. His dad probably has a video. I think he videoed every game. And we were in the one corner of U-Hall, and all the opponents of the band, can you believe there's opponents of a band, sat on the other side and just sat with their arms down like this when we played. It was just like, it was weird, and I just sat there going, come on, really? Come on. And I think they started running around U-Hall. They actually ran around the inside part of it every time we played, a few of them. I'm like, you're going against your own people here. So, at that time, I never really thought about leaving, but I just thought to myself, is this really happening? Because now, students don't go against other students. It just doesn't happen here. And I was just kind of blown away by that fact. People were not trying to let us be successful at what we were doing. And so it took a lot of really guts for those guys who were in that first one to really stand up and say, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. I don't think they get a lot of credit, and I don't think they really care about that credit, because that's who they're not those people. But they know inside who they are, and I didn't remember all the people that were there, but we didn't have a ton of players. But Tasky was there actually, playing a lot of those games. I can't remember, everybody there. I know Funston was there. I don't think he was there at the first part of it. Matt White, I remember being there, trombone, and Rachel Redfern, and she was a fourth year, I think, the first year of the band. But even the basketball band before that, I can't remember some of the people that were doing those, that were playing those early parts. But I just remember it being just unbelievable as far as these guys could really play and really gave their might. Sean Maydew, I think, was a trumpet player that was in there that was really kicking it out early. That that was always like, come on, higher, faster, louder, getting on him to play bigger. And I remember Rachel, Redfern on horn, Rachel Beaton on horn, and then I can't remember everybody. We had a drummer in there, a couple drummers in there that were pretty good. Island came over and helped me out, kind of get those guys at least going. And I don't remember who was playing bass at the time. I think it wasn't even a marching band kid, but it was a string bass player. I think we did end up getting in the marching band, but that was just so important. And the tubas, Chase and I think Chase and the tubas came in, I think at like 1 or 2 o'clock before the game. They came in the mail, and so Chase and them were down there bubble wrapping them. And I couldn't get him to stop looking at the tuba. He is. It's like, don't look at the sun. Don't. He was sitting there. I thought he was going to eat the sousaphone looking at Chase. But he was just. It's shiny. I think he'd only seen a plastic sousaphone, but being from Southwest Virginia at the time. But it was just again, going to the bookstore, getting, the rugbies at the last second, or just all that kind of stuff. And I tell you what, you would have thought we were the Marine band. They felt like they were the stuff. I mean, wow, we got this, and we actually had music, and we had stands, and Ann Bilbo and Susan Howe, Ed Howe's wife, gave us Krispy Kreme donuts. I mean, we were like, and then we used to rehearse on occasion. I remember this we had food there for them, and we have water in the stands now too. But it was just really, we were like D1 band. Here we go, Virginia, and we won that game. And we must have played the 8 year. I remember somebody sending me an email or telling me that, wow, you played the same tune twice. It was our first gig, and somebody actually said, well, you played the same tune twice. I'm like, we ran out. I mean, I don't know what to say, Or I played the same cheer twice. Well, obviously, they had no idea. I mean, you ever heard Alabama? I mean, that's all they do is roll tide, roll tide, roll tide, roll tide. But, big time schools play cheers to where you can actually learn them. But, so, some of those pains of that. But we went to the tournament that year, ACC tournament, and I don't know if we won any games or not, but I remember us looking very sharp in the back room. We had our 29 players, and wow, our guys looked like we all had shiny instruments and all the other bands didn't. I mean, ours are all brand new, and they were looking really good. And we might have lost the game. I don't remember the game, but I just remember in Greensboro when all the other bands walked by, and they were all nice kids and things, but I remember everybody looking like, wow, that's all box string trumpets, and look at those trombones, and these are college kids from bands, that pretty established bands, and our guys were just like, that's kind of the first time they were like, wow, yeah, because someone else noticed, you know how that is when someone else tells you you're pretty good. And I don't know if we sounded good, but we looked good.